Hey, I'm Jusko from ProudMoney.com, and in this video we are going to look at the best bank accounts here in 2022, best checking accounts, best savings accounts, and in a couple examples, the best checking and savings accounts put together in a combination. But first, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not already, and if you have already, I thank you for doing so. So the best bank accounts, when we look at them, checking, savings, those are sort of the foundation of most people's personal finance, the place that you start, and then everything else kind of builds off of that. When we look at the best checking and savings accounts, on the checking side, in my mind, the best checking accounts are going to be things that you can use every day and not have to pay for. So you're not going to have monthly maintenance fees, hopefully not ATM fees, and any kind of minimum balances. We don't want any of that kind of stuff. We want it to be easy and not have to worry about it. If we can make some interest on top of that, great. But that's sort of the baseline. On the savings end, obviously, we want to make some interest on that money that we have in savings. My personal feeling is that you should only have so much in savings before you start moving money out to other investments. But while you have that sort of emergency money, that money that you would like to be able to get your hands on in short order if need be, you'd like to make some money off of it. So we're going to look at the best checking and best savings accounts, and I'll tell you why I think each one of those qualifies as we go along. Now, the two best bank accounts out there, in my opinion, right now are actually going to be combination checking and savings account in one package. I'm not usually a fan of bundling, but in this case, I make an exception. The first of those is the new SoFi checking and savings account, which is just rolling out as I make this video. SoFi was offering the SoFi Money account, which was in partnership with another bank. SoFi is now a bank in its own right, and it has just rolled out this checking and savings account that is pretty good. No monthly maintenance fees. You don't have any monthly minimums. If you have direct deposit set up, at least one direct deposit per month into the account, you're going to get a 1% APY, or what you could think of as a 1% interest rate on all of the money that you have in those accounts on up to $50,000. Over $50,000, that piece would get 0.25%. But in my opinion, after $50,000, you probably should be taking some money out and investing it elsewhere. You have a $100 bonus that you can earn with this account when you set up direct deposit, at least as I make this video. Not sure how long that will last. You can get access to your direct deposit paycheck 2 days early with this account, and you'll see this with some of the other accounts as well, because they kind of get the word that the money is coming in 2 days before it's actually in there. And so now what some of these bank accounts are doing is allowing you to access that money actually 2 days before the money is actually hit the account. So you have that with this new SoFi account. ATM network, you do have a big free ATM network with the All Point network. It's not a perfect network because it is something that is based in retail stores and gas stations, so you have to go to ATMs at like, Target and Walgreens and Kroger or Speedway and a bunch of other ones out there. So those are sort of your free ATMs. If you go outside that, just to, some other local bank, you might be hit with you probably will be hit with their ATM charges, and that's something that SoFi is not going to reimburse. And then finally, if you have that direct deposit coming in and it is over $1,000 in a month, you have some overdraft protection of $50 where you would not be charged anything if you actually do have an overdraft on your checking account. So overall, I think that is a pretty good combo. Yes, you have to make a little bit of a commitment with the direct deposit in order to get that 1% rate. And you can have the account actually without the direct deposit, but you're only going to get 0.25% on all of your deposits. So that's not perfect, but for a lot of people, they don't care because they are going to have their paycheck direct deposited somewhere. So why not here if this is the best account that is available to you? So that is something that may be a downside to you. You may not care at all. I think that as a total package, this is pretty nice, and it's a way to have your checking and your savings together to get a nice rate, and you don't even have to worry about having one account over here and one account over there because they're all smushed together. Now, my second favorite account is probably going to surprise you, and it may even be better than the first, other than the fact that it doesn't have that $100 bonus when you set up the direct deposit, and that is the T-Mobile Money checking and savings account. A lot of the same stuff that SoFi is offering, but you don't have to have the direct deposit in order to get its top rate. So you have, no monthly minimums, no monthly maintenance fees. You've got pretty much the same ATM network. You have the access potentially to your paycheck 2 days early. If you do direct deposit, you've got the same 1.0 APY% on your checking checking and your savings in that account, again, without the direct deposit, so you don't necessarily have to do that. If you are a T-Mobile customer, you can even get 4% on your checking up to $3,000 in that account, and that means you have to be a T-Mobile customer and you have to use your debit card a certain number of times. So that's not a huge benefit, but if you are a T-Mobile customer, potentially you can even do a little bit better. And again, you don't have to be a T-Mobile customer in order to get it. If you are a T-Mobile customer, you can get that little bit extra, but you don't have to be one in order to get the account. Now let's talk about some checking and savings accounts that are separate, and we'll go down the checking track first. Discover Bank has a nice checking account that offers something different, and that is the fact that you are getting 1% cash back on the purchases that you make with your Discover debit card each month. So you have a checking account where instead of earning some percentage on how much money you have in the account, you're actually getting 1% back on the actual purchases you make. And I think for a lot of people, that's actually maybe more attractive, because if you don't keep a whole lot in your checking account, regardless of what rate you might be getting interest rate on that money, it's not going to amount to a whole lot. But if you use your debit card a lot, you got a lot of money going in and out of that account, well then 1% back on up to $3,000 per month of purchases could be a better return than you would ever get from interest. So I do like that about the Discover Bank checking account. It's again something where you've got no monthly maintenance fees, no minimums. You have an ATM network that is a little bit bigger than what we just talked about with SoFi or T-Mobile Money. It has the Allpoint network, but also the MoneyPass network, which is going to give you more access to some banks, both national banks and maybe some local banks, their ATMs. So that makes a little better on that front. Direct deposit not required in order to get any of the features of the Discover account. So overall, if you're looking for something that is not so much the interest rate, but you'd like to get some cash back like you might with a credit card, well then this is a good choice. Capital One's 360 checking account, a fairly popular option out there. It is somewhat no frills, but it gives you what you want. No monthly maintenance fee. You've got no minimum balance that you have to keep. You can do direct deposit, but you don't have to. If you do, you have the potential to get your paycheck 2 days early through the direct deposit mechanism that I talked about before. You've got an ATM network that is mostly the same as what I just described with Discover's, but if you have any Capital One locations in your area, you could also use their ATMs. You could do cash deposits through Capital One's ATMs. If you have them near you, you can also do cash deposits at CVS locations. And I should say here that with some of the, actually all of the ones that we've talked about and more that we will talk about, you can't always do cash deposits with some of these checking accounts. So if that's something that is important to you, make sure that you understand whether you can do a cash deposit or not. Even with Capital One, it's not all that easy. You have to go to CVS, or if you happen to be in an area with Capital One locations, then you could do it there. But anyway, a little bit better than what Discover was offering, and you do have the cash deposits. Otherwise, you're not going to get a whole lot in interest here as I make this video, a 0.10% interest rate. But again, I think we're more worried about keeping away from fees than we are probably an interest rate on the checking account. In terms of overdraft protection, Capital One has sort of an interesting way that they handle things. You know, if you get to the point where you're hitting zero in your bank account and you are trying to still make purchases, what Capital One does is they give you the choice. They can either say, no, we're not going to let that purchase go through and it will just get declined when you try to make it, or they will shift money from a Capital One savings account or other account that you might have with Capital One in order to cover that problem, or they will allow you to let it go through and they won't charge you anything for it, but then obviously you are going to be going into a negative balance. So you get to make the choice, but they're not going to charge you any fees regardless. Lending Club checking could be attractive to you if you can keep $2,500 or more in your account, because at that level you're going to get 1% cash back on all of your debit card purchases. You're also going to earn a little interest on the money you have in your account, only 0.10%, so not something that I'd really worry about that aspect of it. But you also are going to have no ATM fees, or you're going to have ATM fees up front when you actually take money out, but then they're going to be reimbursed to you. So it's not like there's in-network and out-of-network. Pretty much everything's out-of-network, but you're going to get all your ATM fees reimbursed, which is unlike any of the accounts that we have talked about so far. Now, a lot of people don't want to hold $2,500 or more in their checking account to sort of get the best of what this account has, but maybe you do. Ally Bank has a popular online checking product, similar in many ways to these others. No monthly maintenance fee. You're not going to have a minimum balance. You can get a little bit higher interest rate on the balances you do have, 0.25% as I make this video, which is a little higher than a lot of these, a little lower than some of them. You have ATM fee reimbursement of up to $10 per month. So there is an in-network ATM that is free. And then if you go outside of network, some of that could be reimbursed to you. So if you only do it, a couple times per month, probably all of it would be reimbursed. You don't have the ability to do cash deposits at all with Ally Bank, and that's true with some of these other banks as well. So again, when you look at these banks, you have to think to yourself, because so many of them are online only, in fact, all of the ones I'm going to talk about are online only, except for the fact that maybe you have access to Capital One's branches where they have them. You have to think about what is important to you. The ATM networks, I think, if you do cash deposits, obviously that's something where maybe you would choose a local bank, or maybe you would choose Capital One if you could, do your cash deposits through CVS or whatever. But for most of these, if you're just moving money around and you want to do the best you can with, very little fees, these are going to be the best ones for you. And then I'm also going to throw a quick shout out here to Chime Bank. I think Chime is a little bit below these ones in terms of what they are offering, but again, they are an online bank that is going to allow you to do your checking without any monthly maintenance fees, without those minimum balances, all that good stuff. Now on the savings side, like I said at the beginning, SoFi, T-Mobile, both offering 1% APY, essentially a 1% interest rate on the balances you have with them if you're okay with getting that checking and savings together, because that 1%, pretty much the top of the market as I am making this video. Now, if you don't like their checking products and you like a different checking product better, well, then maybe you're going to be looking for a separate savings product, but they are going to have interest rates that are going to be slightly lower. As I make this video, you have Basque Bank at 0.70%. There is Affirm at 0.65%. Discover has a 0.50%, but you also can earn a bonus on that account. It is $150 if you have put in at least $15,000. So that is obviously a big commitment, or you could even get $200 if you put $25,000. You have Community Bank's savings account, 0.60% APY. And then there also is a service called Monify that also is 0.60%. And then also, as far as savings are concerned, I would say watch your local banks and your credit unions to see what kind of rates they are offering. Usually they are going to be lousy, but sometimes they are going to be good, especially on sort of the smaller piece of your balance. So sometimes you might get, 2% or 3% on up to $2,000, $3,000, and then everything else is a lousy rate beyond that. But if you don't keep very much in your savings and you just want to have a little emergency money, maybe that would be something you would do. Credit unions as well sometimes have that. And then sometimes also the bonuses for new account openings are things that you can get on a local level, or maybe at a credit union even sometimes. And so you could keep your eyes open for that as well. So the savings accounts we've talked about, high yield online savings accounts that are going to be, pretty good across the board and hopefully for the long term, but you also should check out your local options. So that is it. If you know of anything I have missed, please put it in the comments section below. Now, usually on this channel, we don't really talk about bank accounts all that often. What we talk about a lot, though, are credit cards. And if you are looking for a new credit card, you might want to check out this video about the best credit cards on the market.